everyone, I am Amanda from Mandy Lynn Plants, and today we are going to be taking a look at the Wonderland 222 planners. We're going to take a look at the differences between the 2022 versions and the 2023 versions. Here I have the Moss B6 and the Lavender A6. I also have A5s, but for comparing on camera, it's easier to use smaller sizes. The things that are going to be different in the smaller sizes is also true of the A5. The first difference that is probably most obvious if you have been around Wonderland 222 for any amount of time is that this year they got rid of the bookmark, and that is because they changed their binding. So they apparently were not happy with the way that the binding was working on the 2022 planners, and I know a lot of people felt that as well. So in order to update their binding, they had to get rid of the bookmarks. And from what I've heard, there's not really a lot of people that's super sad about that. So you can see how this binding, whenever you open it, it stays flush against the paper. So the binding on the 2022, if you open it, it's kind of, well, you can see, not the greatest. So it kind of separates a little bit, and I'll show you on my A6 as well. I think that this is because of where they put the bookmark at the top, and then at the bottom it's separated out there. And so this just kind of a love-hate thing. It depends on how much you like the bookmarks, whether or not you appreciate that change or not. Another change is also the cover is different, and I'm not the best at explaining texture changes, but this one is a little more textured and this one is more smooth. But I actually prefer the way that these feel. Personally, it's just a little more supple almost. It's just different. The cover thickness is pretty similar. As we go through here, I'm going to have the 2023 version on top so that you can see some of the differences. We can't really see any differences until we flip to the yearly index pages. All right, so I switched out to the A6. The 2022 version is on the bottom, the 2023 version is on top, and you can tell the difference in shading. I know a lot of people excited about that. So instead of darker shading and white text, we have lighter shading and dark text. The same is true on the yearly pages. Here you can see the darker text on the bottom and the lighter text here. You can see the darker shading in the 2022 and the lighter shading in the 2023. There is still shading on the weekends, and if anything, I would say that the weekend shading got a little bit darker in the 2023 version, although it could be an optical illusion, but I don't think it is. And the same for the quarterly pages. You can see the darker on top, and we still have the shading for this section here. Then when we get to the routine tracker pages, one of the big differences in the 2022 and the 2023 planner is the start date. So the 2022 planner started in November, so they included a November routine tracker. This part is just blank in the 2023 because it doesn't start until December. So we still have the difference in shading, but you have kind of a blank page at the top here to do with what you will. And then we get into the monthly trackers. So in the B6 size, the trackers look like this, and here to account for the missing November in the 2023 book, you have just a blank sheet of additional notes. And then again, the difference in shading color. Then flipping to possibly one of my favorite parts of the Wonderland 222 planner is this November overview page. So like I mentioned, the 2023 starts in December, but you always have a page before the monthly spread. So if you like to kind of map out your month before it starts, you have a page to do that. It is sectioned the same as it was last year. Here you have little sections you can use, and then a bigger area for blank. So the shading and everything on that is the same. And then when we turn to the monthly page, we can see that the shading is different, staying consistent with the rest of the book. We still have the previous month and the future month at the bottom of these monthly spreads. We still have the holidays. We still have the tabs on the page. Here you can see I partially covered one up with our tabs, but you can see that the tabbing is similar. You still have the moon phases. There is still shading on this line to make the days of the month kind of pop out a little bit more. You still have your week numbers here if that is important to you to know which week it is. and then at the end of the month you have a review page. So the way the Wonderland 222 is laid out, you have the overview before the monthly spread, you have your monthly spread, and then you have all of your weeklies, and then after your weeklies you have your review page before your overview page of the next month. So now let's flip back and take a look at the weekly spreads in comparison to the 2022. Again, we have some different shading. We still have shading on the weekend section. If anything, like I said, it appears that the shading on the weekend is darker, but the actual spread itself is laid out exactly the same from the previous year. So if you're unfamiliar with how the Wonderland 222 does its weekly spread, all three sizes, the A5, the B6, the A6, they all use a stacked weekend, and that allows for wider columns for your 5 work days. You have your hourly timeline from 7 to 9 p.m. It is a 24-hour timeline. In the A6, it goes till 5 p.m. And in the A5, similar to the B6, it goes till 9 p.m. So even though it's a bigger page, you don't get extra hours. You instead get extra space here and at the bottom. So after all of your monthly and weekly pages, you do have a handful of daily pages in the back, and they appear to be exactly the same to me. No difference. It is laid out the same. It is completely grid. There is a timeline on the side, goes from 5 a.m. to midnight with a 24-hour timeline, and it goes from page 199 to 288, so you have 89 daily pages in the back. So if you don't quite use 1 page per day, you might be able to get by with only using the single planner that has some daily pages in the back, or they also make single notebooks. So this is not a planner with the monthly and the weekly spreads. This is just a book with daily pages. The binding is the same as the planner, so they switched that out as well. No bookmarks. They come in all 3 sizes, the A5, the B6, and the A6. The covers are the same as the planners. They are available in half-year options as well as full-year options. So I have half years here, and they have 189 pages in the back. So a full-year notebook would be double about in size. I know several people who get 1 size of planner, so maybe they like the B6 size planner, but they just need an A6 daily to carry along with them, and they like the flexibility of being able to carry 2 sizes easily since they're very thin. So that is an option as well. And for the 2023 year, they do have the moss options and the lavender, and then midnight sky, they're black as well. So I would love to know your thoughts on the 2023 Wonderland 222 planners. Go ahead and let me know in the comments, and as always, thank you so much for watching. Until next time.